How are you? And today's guest is James Bailey. How are you, James?
Great.
James, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, or a lot, whatever you prefer?
Well, read my book. It's all in there. The Diary of a Manic OCD Bookseller. Yeah.
I'll bring up an image of it. Here we
Oh,
go.
good, man. Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about it? I saw it just came out last year, right? Last summer?
Something like that. But I was really focusing in on my first book was optioned for a movie. Adam Sandler almost did the movie version.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. So I was this close to, being
Yeah,
rich and living
wow.
in Malibu. Yeah.
What book was that?
That was Man Interrupted, my first book.
Right.
It was a
Yeah, that's
bestseller and blah,
all I
blah.
would say. Yeah, that's the one we have right in the lower and left hand
Yeah.
corner. I'm
But
sorry, I
I'm
meant
trying
to
to forget that book. I'm trying to move
trying to
forward.
forget that book. Yeah,
Don't
no, I
look
got
back,
that.
like they say.
I got you. I got you. But tell us a little bit. Obviously, don't give away the book, but about your history, your creative, just your history, your
Okay.
in the creative field, the entertainment. A little bit about your background.
Well,
Don't hold
it's
back. Don't hold
no,
back.
it's actually in the book, but I'll give you
Give us
some
a
good
teaser.
stories.
Yeah.
Give you,
Mhm.
you want to hear a good Mel Brooks story then? It's in
Oh,
the
Mel
book.
Brooks. Mel Brooks stories. Well, how do you know? Well, tell us how do you know Mel
There
Brooks?
you go. See, it's in the book, but I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you since you like Mel. He's a
Oh, who
genius.
doesn't?
He's a comic genius. There's no doubt, right?
Oh yeah, there's not a doubt in anybody's mind.
No, I'm lucky to have him as a friend. I
Yeah.
know that. But anyway, so this is going back. I was an actor,
Mhm.
and I was sneaking to the studios all the time at Fox. This is before they had all the, stalkers and psychotic guys hanging.
And all the crazy security to prevent that.
Yeah. So back then, I mean, there wasn't that worry that somebody's going to bother, hurt somebody in the studio.
Yeah, the craze wasn't as
Yeah, it
insane.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that deal back then. So what I would do, I would just wait till the security. I'm not security, but the
Right.
suit people, the corporate types. They'd go back from lunch, and I would get in line with them and just start asking them the time or something. So the guards assumed I was with that group, and so I had it down to a science. I would just wait for them to come back for lunch, and I'd jump in. So anyway, I'm doing this all the time, and I'm walking around trying to meet people, and all of a sudden I hear this yelling from behind me. He goes, "What the frick are you doing? Are you insane?" So I'm thinking, who? I'm scared to turn around. I turn around, it's Mel Brooks.
And you were terrified.
Well, I was like, what the hell? And he goes, "You hear every freaking day, and you got the same clothes on," which is true. I had a cheap $50
He's been
suit.
monitoring you.
Yeah, well, my $50 Hollywood Boulevard suit with wrinkles. So anyway,
Stood out.
he said, "Well, listen, I don't want you to get in trouble." I said, "Well, I'm trying to meet people," and he said, "Well, that's not the way to do it. If I notice you, security's going to notice you, right?" He was trying to be nice to me.
Yeah.
So of course, when he left, he said, "Well, don't come back." And I said, "Okay." Of course, I didn't listen to him. Right after he left, I went back to walking around the studio trying to meet people. Anyway, true story. The next day, I got an audition for Charlie's Angels, the TV show, right?
Wow.
So I got a pass to get in the studio. I'm legit, right? So I'm walking in the freaking studio, and it's a big studio, and I thought, I'll never see Mel. It's a big, and I don't want to see him. So all of a sudden, Mel comes driving up in his Rolls Royce. He sees me, and he starts shaking his head like, "What the?"
You
So
got some chutzpah.
I got a pass, man. I'm legit. He goes, "Well, tuck your freaking shirt in." So that was the beginning of me and Mel right there.
Wow, it's crazy how some friendships start.
Yeah.
This is our network head, or the guy who put the team together. Joe Ridley says good evening, gentlemen. I've been looking forward to this for a week.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay, so you're still friends with Mel?
Oh yeah, I talked to Mel last week. I
Yeah.
talk to him about once a week.
How long ago was this? This was at the beginning of your career.
We're talking 80s, early 80s. So me and Mel
Wow.
have been friends for a long time.
Wow. Yeah, that was before I was born. Not too long before, but a little bit before. Yeah,
So what happened is this new book, The Diary of a Manic OCD. That's why I keep doing this. I got OCD.
Yeah.
I got excuse.
I have OCD. It's CDO. It's OCD in alphabetical order.
Well, you know what Mel told me? He said, Jim, don't you ever get freaking tired of using my name? Because I said, no.
Nobody does.
He said, well,
Nobody
you
does.
got OCD. You can't help yourself. So that's Mel.
You have an excuse. Like, I curse my friends out. I have Tourette's. I have an excuse, you know? I'm
well,
joking.
okay. Well, you're stealing my material then. If you're
Oh, no,
doing,
no, no, no. I was borrowing it. I'm just kidding.
no, I'm just.
I know, I
Well,
know.
anyway, this new book is about how I made the first book. This is my third book. The first book, a bestseller. How I got a movie deal. All the famous people I met: Pierce Bronson, Bob Dylan. I
Wow.
could go on and on. Tom Hanks. But then I had the other side. I was living in my car, so I was meeting
Wow.
street people. I had one guy. One day I'm talking to Bob Dylan. The next day, a street guy's trying to kill me. So I go back and forth.
Pretty interesting balance.
Yeah. Then I had, and then I met this bearded lesbian who I thought it was a, I thought it was a man, and I just been plugging my book all day long, and I just sit down to rest. And this man or woman, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a man with a beard, and he started talking to me. Of course, I tried to be nice and he kept rambling. He kept saying, I told him my name was Jim. And he said, well, I'm so happy to make friends with you, Jim. I don't have any friends. I said, well, me either. So he keeps saying to me, Jim, should I go back to Fresno? I guess he had OCD or something. I
Right.
said, why would I know why he would go back to Fresno? But he kept saying it. Jim, should I go back? Jim, should I go back? What about Fresno, Jim? I said, well, go back to Fresno. I don't know. But anyway, so we're talking, and this is really wacky. And then I finally figured out, wait a minute, that's a female. Just had some, living in the street. They can't help,
Right. Yeah.
So I thought, oh, geez, it's a man. Anyways, we keep talking, and she keeps saying, I think she had, or he had OCD, couldn't help himself. He kept saying, Jim, will I ever find a companion? I mean, said it 100 times probably. Jim, Jim, on and on. And I kept trying to be nice. And I said, yeah. I finally said, yes, there is. Well, I thought, yes, there is a man for you out there somewhere, because I'm getting frustrated. And she gets up and yells at me, Jim, I want a freaking woman. I don't want no freaking man. She's a lesbian. So anyway, yeah, that's my encounters. That's what the book's about. One encounter to the next, So it's very funny.
Well, that's how you tell a good. Sometimes a lot of books are. There are. I've heard. What was it? Was it Jim Russert wrote a book like that? But it wasn't. It wasn't necessarily his encounters. He
Yeah.
did write a book on his dad. And
Okay.
then a lot of people sent them their stories about their stories about their dad, and he put a whole book together
Oh, okay.
of those stories. So, but like that's how you get people to, you know, want to do so themselves, or you inspire people to tell their story by telling yours, even if it's a series of smaller stories, compiled into a collection of stories.
Yeah, but my
So, yeah.
stories are bizarre. They don't
Oh,
fit with
bizarre,
that.
but bizarre are the most interesting. Bizarre
Well,
are the most
I brought them up to yin yang in my book.
weird. I say weird is the new norm, and
Well, another weird guy. I've got so many good ones. I went from Pierce Bronson, who was a very nice man. He bought my book. You got to get my book eventually. Anybody who
Oh,
doesn't
100%.
know, I'm
No,
going to
no,
tell
I
you
love
if
I
you
love
know.
I love I love books on OCD, especially if it's, not just, tells a story, but like I just like I joke about my OCD also. So, but I also embrace it. So I like to learn about other people's OCD. I like when other people want to learn about other people's, not just OCD, but whether it be their Tourette's, their ADD,
Right.
their whatever. Like an interest in learning about other people is a trait that appeals to me in a human being, not necessarily in a girl, but I mean, and
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that as a person, it's nice to meet people who are selfless that way, who want to learn about other people, with as unique or simple or bizarre
Bizarre.
as it can be. Their stories, or they can be. And can I tell you something? What intrigues me is the unique, the bizarre, the the
You
the
must have read my book.
not yet, but you could tell
It's
I'm already like, oh,
good
it
adjectives
it
already.
apply it apply and you just tell it applies to me. I like those are the types of books and articles and stories I love to read or watch or whatever it is. And I really though Adam Sandler didn't do
Well, I got this
something with
book.
your other book, I'd love to see some of these stories become
Well,
something.
I just sent my script and book to HBO today,
Really?
and anonymous content, so I'm in the ballpark, you know.
No, that's HBO is that's a big deal.
Well,
Yeah.
I know the presidents via mail, so I have a lot of connections, to
Oh,
be
no,
honest.
that's good. I hear that. Even if you know somebody, it's difficult, but the fact that, like, which, like, honestly, my distant cousin is executive vice president at PBS, but I doesn't mean I can, just
You're right.
plugs, to head to them,
Well,
but
you got to
like,
have talent to back it up. I mean,
of
you could
course,
use somebody's name all
100%.
you want, you know.
You could have the greatest story, but you need, 100%,
You got
or
to have
you
something to go
you have
with it.
something appealing and
I'll tell
something.
you why Adam Sandler almost did the movie,
Well, yeah, why?
because this is my first book. I had OCD, very severe OCD.
Right. No,
Just
no. Yeah, I know
that's,
I know what that's like,
over
yeah.
over the top. So one of my problems was I had a fear of germs.
Mhm.
So that's okay.
I developed that during COVID. I've developed in yeah.
Well, let me tell you what happened. So I started living with street people, homeless people, because they're not big on hygiene. So I thought if I go shake their hand, it kind of desensitized myself.
Interesting.
So I would
Facing your
just shake their
fears in
hand
a
and shake.
sense.
I was so nervous like that. So here's what even more bizarre. My other OCD, I had an irrational fear of drugs. Irrational. Like if I saw some guy, he looked like he possibly could be high, I would run to the bathroom to wash my face and nose, and I couldn't open the door. I had to open the door with my foot because I thought my hands were, had some kind of contamination.
Right, I hear that.
But here it gets even more bizarre. The fear of the drugs. I had a fear of I started hanging out with drug dealers, pretending to be a drug addict. Face my fear. So they start thinking I was a narc because they said, Jim, you always talk about drugs all the time because that was part of my treatment, but you never do drugs, right? So
Yeah.
then they start thinking, oh shit, and they start thinking I was a narc, undercover cop. So
That's
now I
funny.
got Squiggles, the main drug dealer, after me.
Squiggles.
No,
That
that's
is a great name.
and I couldn't tell him.
You can't make this up. You can't
No, and
make
then
these
my
stories up.
friend said, "Tell him you have OCD." I'm going to tell the drug dealer I got OCD, and that's the only reason I'm hanging around.
Tell them you're trying to solve
Yeah, and then I get the
your
knife in my back. It's hey, anyway,
it's
so that's why a lot of people wanted to do that movie. What was Option? I think it had a really weird, quirky,
because
you
it's
know.
like one of those things, like, you can't make this up. It feels
Now
like real and fakes at the very same time.
surreals.
Surreal,
I like
yeah.
the surreal. I got so many bizarre things like that.
What do they say? Salvador Dali eats a bowl of cereal every morning?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Here's another good story in my book. You people,
Mhm.
if better get my book. It's my OCD. If you don't, then I'll be that butterfly. I'll never get out of that jar. The cover of my book.
Listen, I know OCD like I like the back of my hand, and I don't even
Well,
know
I
that
mean, just it could be
better than the
anything.
back of my hand.
I think my book is motivational for a salesperson because I would just walk up nonstop on the
Mhm.
beach. I walk up to a stranger. Do you like to read? I just nonstop. Just keep. You couldn't stop.
Right.
I go to a bookstore. I see somebody close to my book. I throw my book near them, and I say, "Oh, do you like to read? Blah, blah. What do you like to
It's
read?"
also you're proud of, not just proud, but like you've made something, you've taken your struggles and transformed it into something that could be beneficial, and you're proud of that. It's a healthy pride, I guess, but
Well,
also that
here's what Mel told me.
yeah.
They said they had 5 books at the Barnes and Noble in the Grove. Okay, I go sell one easily to some, and I tell this girl, "I'll autograph if you buy." It's pretty easy. Author in the
Mhm.
bookstore, kind of. So I'd sell maybe 3 or 4, and then I'd leave. And because Mel said, "Jim, you always leave one book at least in the store, but it's good for your ego to see the book in the store."
Yeah.
So I'd walk all the way down to the bus stop, about 6 blocks, and I'd go, shit, I gotta go sell another book. I couldn't help myself. So I would sell them all out. They kept running out, you know. So yeah. So I'm a hell of a salesman, that goes with that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
You know what? I just thought that could be that could even name your movie "Life of a Salesman," as opposed to "Death of a Salesman,"
yeah, that's
or
true.
something along those lines. A play on the title,
Well, I
something.
I think it's a good title, but it's not only called The Diary of a Manic OCD Bookseller, but the subtitle is One Book at a Time.
Hold on a second. Let's bring that up again.
Because I've
One
met
book
so
at a
many
time.
people. I've met
Yeah.
thousands of people, one book at a time.
May I ask about the cover? What the jar? What was the jar and the butterfly? You mentioned something about a jar before. What does that
Well,
represent?
my thinking was it's a beautiful butterfly and he's trapped.
Right.
Like a lot of us are trapped for
In our own
irrational
hells or
reasons. Yeah,
yeah.
whatever the reason is. And I thought that was a metaphor. And so I that was my idea for the cover. I thought, well, we all are trapped and we want to get out. And if you buy my book, my theory is I'll open the jar and let the butterfly out. So so
Like for every book bought, you'll let out another butterfly from a jar.
yeah, yeah. And it's
I
funny.
like
I
that.
was I was driving back from Texas, from LA to Louisiana, and
Mhm.
the cop pulled me over and said my brake light was out. Of course, I'm very confrontational, and I said, "Hey, well, my brake light's not freaking out. I'm not scared of cops. I should be, but I'm not." So he said, "Yeah, it is." And he said, "Well, you made a face at me." I said, "Well, yeah, I did make a face because I was bored. I've been driving so long." So anyway, he takes my license and he's gone a long time. I'm thinking, "Oh crap," because I used to get in fights and when I was drinking heavily all the time. I thought, "Oh, something's going to come up." And finally, he comes out there. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Bailey." He wanted my autograph. I go, "What?" He looked up, James Bailey, actor and author, on Google, and I'm all over the freaking place. I forgot about that Wikipedia and all that. So that's in my book too. It's another encounter.
You gotta be like blessed or like have like I don't know, like just to have so many of those stories is like the chances, I don't know if you're a religious man or even not religious, but there's a thing about everything happens for a reason,
Yeah,
or that there's in religion there's no such thing as coincidences. So it's just interesting how often that would happen to you,
yeah,
and you could
it
have
is. You're
so
right.
many stories and build up a whole repertoire of stories just from chance experiences.
Well,
And like
also I
that's
have a twisted sense of humor. So even though say there's a guy chasing me in the alley and he wanted to kill me, and I was basically laughing. And I thought, well, I do 1,000 push-ups a day because of OCD. I can't stop working out. So I thought, well, that's why I do 1,000 push-ups. This is why I'm gonna beat this guy up. That's my mindset. So it's
yeah, I like that. It's like you you t-
I
it's
live
just
on
that
the
that's
edge.
yeah, no, I love that, but like you take creativity and apply it to real life, not just creativity. You take real life and apply it to creativity, and take creativity and apply it to real life in a very improvisational, unrealistic, but cool, like unique, uh uh, real way that just
Yeah,
works. And you bring even when the situation isn't unique or bizarre, you could say something so simple yet so clever and creative that it turns it in it has the potential to turn it into a bizarre
yeah.
situation, and it evolves from there. It just the story tells itself, and that's
Well,
that's that's a gift. That I'll
I
tell
got
you, that is a
that
gift.
you mentioned religion. I got a good religious story in my book. So I'm driving on another road trip, and I see this 300-pound guy, but he had a "Jesus loves you" sign, and I'm always a sucker for anything like that. I mean. So I gave the guy $5, and anyway, we started talking, and he was feeling down. Somebody stole his glasses, and blah blah blah. And this is in Texas. It's outside of San Antonio. And he said, "Well, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to LA." He says, "Oh, great. I'm going to San Diego. Can you give me a ride?" I thought, let me think on this, And so anyway, I said, I don't know why, but somehow he's in my car and we're driving away. And we get about 3 or 4 miles, and I he stank so bad I couldn't drive. I lift the window out of my, I was driving with my head out
But
the
you
window.
couldn't say anything. I got you.
Yeah, but he just reeked.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, where's your Bible? Since you're so religious." And he said, "Well, somebody stole it. Somebody stole his Bible, and somebody stole his glasses, and he's going to San Diego to get those back." Which makes no sense at all.
Sounds like
So
he's
now
on
I'm
drugs.
thinking, why the hell did I pick this guy up? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And then he says to me, I said, "Man," I said, "How long you been at that rest stop in San Antonio?" He goes, "2 weeks." I go, two. Oh, another red flag. Why in the hell I picked this guy up? He's insane, right? So finally, the smell was just too bad. And I said, dude, you got to get out. And he says, I'm not getting out. I said, oh, shit. I got a 400-pound, and he stinks. Well, he's been sweating in that rest stop. He didn't,
Oh God.
So he finally, and I kept saying, I kept saying, Jim, just keep going, keep going. And then I just couldn't do it. And I said, you got to get the frick out of my car, man. And so I stopped. He said, no, you got to at least let me out of a truck stop,
Right.
I said, okay. So I go a few more miles and I stop. Then he says, well, now you got to take me all the way around to the truck. I said, that's it, dude. I have a bad temper anyway. I
Right.
said,
Yeah.
get your ass out of my freaking car, man, now. And he of course, he's cussing me out, as he gets out. So I start driving away, and I thought,
Sounds like a very biblical Jesus lover.
well, let me tell you this. I drive about a mile, and I thought, he stole my glasses. So there you go.
Wow.
Oh,
See, if I
good
could,
story,
if
huh?
like, I was thinking while you were telling that story, are you gonna pull out a pair of like drinking glasses and say, here's some glasses, like a little spin
Oh,
on the. I was just thinking, was he gonna do that, or I didn't see where that was going, and then also
yeah,
like I like
good.
those
I didn't either.
unpredictable.
I didn't
Oh my god,
either.
I say we all get older, we need glasses, wine glasses,
Yeah, right.
my sentiments exactly.
Yeah. So that's in the book. I got a lot of these bizarre, I mean, good encounters. I met like Pierce Bronson. He used to be a, a neighbor of Mel Brooks. So
Pierce Brosnan.
yeah, him and Mel used to be
Wow.
neighbors in Malibu. So I had a connection with him, and he bought two of my books. Nice guy.
Yeah.
And then,
I
you
yeah.
you like Bob Dylan?
Yeah, yeah. Knocking on Heaven's Door, though his voice is not my favorite, but that song of his is my favorite
I
of
got a good
his
Bob Dylan story.
compositions.
You
Oh,
ready?
please
It's
go
all
ahead.
in my book. I got a lot of good stories.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around Malibu, and remind me of the Jerry Seinfeld story too. It's a good one. After this one.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, I'm walking up and I see this man in the parking lot. And of course, you know me, I'm on it. Hey, sir, do you like to read? And he goes, yeah, sure. What you got? And I start telling him about my book and blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah, we'll go get your book. There was a bookstore in Malibu called the Diesel at this time.
Hmm.
And he said, yeah. He said, wow, James, I never met an author. I'm so happy to meet you. I thought, wow, this guy is too nice, man. I never met a guy like this. So we keep walking. He keeps giving me compliments. I'm really proud of you, James. I thought, Jesus, why couldn't I be like this guy? And then it finally hit my brain. That's freaking Bob Dylan. I thought, oh my
Wow.
God. And I didn't want to ask him. So I said, sir, what kind of work do you do? I might say musician or something. He goes, well, James, I'm a gardener. So, but he bought
He's a
my
good
book.
sense of humor.
Yeah, he's in my book. He bought
Very
it.
interesting.
He's one of the top.
I'm gonna ask you the Seinfeld question. I just wanted to. My friend has a question. My friend Brandon asked, "Is any fun memories working on the show Chips?"
Yes, there was. Yes, there was a fond memory. There was a guy, Don.
Not John Johnson.
No, not Don Johnson. There was another name, Don. He was in that movie with Gary Busey about Buddy Holly. Character
Don.
actor, Don. Your friend probably knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah. You know what? Let me quickly look it up.
Okay.
Gary Busey, Buddy
The Buddy
Holly
Holly story. He was a
movie.
drummer
But
in that.
let's see. Hold on one second. The Buddy Holly story. Don Stroud. Don
Yes.
Stroud.
I was a
Yes.
big fan of Don's, and we were in the scenes together. So I was like, he's a really first cool guy, and we talked about Hawaii and all that stuff. So that was kind of my first.
No, that's cool. You also, what was it? Lou Gossett Jr. You were in a
Yeah,
movie. He did what? Who was he was play? It was what was it? A biopic? Who was that
right.
about again? That
I
he
think it was
portrayed?
a gathering of old men. It was based on the Alex Haley who wrote Roots. It was
Right.
so it was and I played a racist in the movies,
Oh
but
God.
Lou was a very nice man. He gave me actually a watch clock one at the last day of shooting. So yeah.
That's you still have it? Is
No,
ah
it's God, who knows? I can't even remember what day it is. So who knows where
well,
that's at. Maybe maybe the hitchhiker stole it from me. I don't
I wouldn't be surprised.
well, if he saw it, he would.
But who else? Oh well, Jerry Seinfeld. But I know there was another. Who was it? Oh, was it? There was another. The first role you had. There was
What?
I read there was two actors. You started an actress and an actor. It was a
Sally
big
Fields and Tommy Lee Jones?
yes. Tom. I was thinking Tommy Lee Jones was and Sally Fields.
Yeah.
Did what remind me that movie and
It was
what
called
your role?
Backroads.
Yes, and what was your role in it? Did you get to work
Another guy,
directly with them?
some bad guy in a bar kind of thing. It was one of my first, but it was small. But I was getting my
Right,
first role, so I was so
right,
happy.
of course. Was
But
it a scene
Tommy,
with them?
yeah, no, well, I can't remember. It's been years, but I did talk to Tommy outside there, and I walked up to him because he had did that. What was it? Coal Miner's Daughter. Remember that movie? And I walked
Yeah.
up to him and I said, "Did you meet?" I can't remember the husband's name was Loretta Lynn. He
Mhm.
said, "Are you a reporter?" Got that Texas accent. I said, "No, I'm an actor in the movie." And he said, "Oh man, I'm glad." He said, "Man, that's the ugliest man I you know, don't tell me stuff like that. So I said, "Oh, okay." And he had really
I
thick fingers. That's one thing I remember about Tommy. He had the thickest fingers I've ever seen.
really I heard he's similar his persona is similar to his emotionless character
Yeah.
sometimes in his
Yeah.
roles. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
very emotionless, but
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
tough.
Because
I
I
heard
saw
that.
him in his first movie, and I thought that guy's terrible. And then he becomes a big star. So what do I
Yeah.
know?
But, tell us about you said you have a Jerry Seinfeld
Oh, I have a
story.
good Jerry Seinfeld. So about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, I'm walking around Malibu and I see Jerry. Of course, I'm crazy about that show, Seinfeld.
Yeah.
My favorite show of all time, no doubt. So I saw Jerry. He was with some guy eating at the little cafe out front.
Mhm.
And so I walked up to Jerry, and of course, you watch those shows so many times, you think you know those people. You kind of
Right.
that
I know,
they're,
yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. So I walked up to him. He was friendly, and he was somewhat friendly, and I gave him my first book, Man Interrupted, and he took it, and and blah blah blah. And I walked around, and I kept thinking, wow, maybe it was my OCD. I thought, wait, I wish he would have said something funny, so the encounter would have been something more than just I gave him a book, right?
Right.
So I'm walking around and around, and of course he can see me, and the book says OCD all over the cover. So finally, I
Which
walked
is
back
only
over.
it's only right. It's only right to have OCD all cover every inch of the cover.
Yeah. So Jerry noticed that, of course. So when I
Stands out.
walked back over there, oh, and listen, I want to give you this book back. So he gave it back to me. So it's kind of embarrassing. And I called Mel from Malibu. I said, Mel, I just met Jerry Seinfeld. And he said, that's what you get. You should have gave him the freaking book, got the hell out of there.
That
Mel
that's
was reason.
Mel probably I think Mel had a better response than Seinfeld did. Like that's
Well,
yeah.
here's part two of that story.
Oh god.
So last summer, I'm in Malibu.
Mhm.
I see Jerry with the same guy. So I walk up, same restaurant. I said, Jerry, remember me about 3 years ago, whatever. I gave you a book and you gave it back to me. He goes, oh, yeah, I remember. I said, well, listen, I've got a new book out and you have a chapter in the new book, but I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to the guy you're sitting with since you gave me the other book back. You know, he says, okay. So I gave it to the other guy. And I said to him, I said, Robert Klein is my favorite actor. I mean, favorite comic, Robert Klein.
Mhm.
Jerry Seinfeld is my second favorite. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. He's very happy. So I left, got my ass out of there this time.
Okay.
So about an hour later, I come back thinking,
They'll be gone.
yeah, right. So they were gone. And there was a couple girls sitting at a table next to where Jerry would have been sitting if he was still there. So I said, hey, girls, you didn't happen to notice there was a book on that table over there. Oh, yeah, Jerry Seinfeld. He was walking to his car. He said, oh, wait a minute. I forgot my book. So he took the book this time.
That's
So,
hilarious.
yeah. So I have a lot of that kind of stuff in my books.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing Larry Thomas who played the Soup Nazi next week.
Oh,
Yeah, we're friends on Facebook, and I met him a bunch of years back, and he's from Regal Park, Queens.
Oh,
He
right.
grew up not too far from me, and he's also Jewish, which is ironic since he plays the soup Nazi. I say I did not see that coming, but it's just very
Well,
very interesting.
Larry Hankins is one of my best friends. You
Oh
remember Larry
yeah,
Hankins?
I had Larry on one of my first
Yeah.
shows. He's
So
great.
there you
He's a
go.
great guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually asked Jerry about Larry. I said, "Hey,
Hmm.
Jerry, you know Larry? Oh yeah, how's Larry doing? Tell him hello." So Larry got
Yeah.
a
No,
good point.
Larry's great. And Larry's also great with the storytelling. What's it
Not as
called?
good as mine. No, mine are real life.
Yeah, he bases it on real life. You actually tell real life stories. And also, by the way, in my mother's yearbook, she was in Jerry Seinfeld's graduating class at Queens. So I have a photo of
Oh,
Jerry with a '70s haircut in my mother's yearbook. Theater major, theater and mass communications major, and dean's list. But it's like I had no. It's such a small world, you know.
yeah. I think Jerry
Yeah,
lives in New York now. Well, of course, those kind of
probably.
guys got houses everywhere. You know how that goes.
He actually shot a commercial in my neighborhood, like a few blocks from me, about
Oh,
15, 20 years ago. Like literally a few blocks away from me, he shot a commercial. Yeah, but it's yeah, New York alone is a small world, you know.
yeah.
But can you can I want to ask you if I want to ask you, and of course you probably get this all the time because you know Mel. But did he do you got did was he he's also a mentor, not just a friend, I assume. Did
Oh, yeah. He's like, yeah. Sometimes he'll cuss me out. Jim, don't do it. Blah blah blah. But he's doing that to help me. He's not doing that to
right. Tough love.
hurt me. Yeah, I know he's the only guy I listen to. I don't listen to nobody. But him, I
If
listen.
he was the only person any of us would have to listen to, we'd be like we'd be well off the rest of our life without having to listen to anybody else. Like he's somebody I wish would be the only person I had to listen to.
When
You know?
he's smart and he remembers stuff like 30 years ago, I told him something. He remembers. I can't even remember nothing. Jim,
uh,
blah blah blah. I go, oh yeah, yeah, all right.
he's like me. He remembers something from 30 years ago. I can remember as far back when I was 3 or 4, but I can't remember what I did like the other day or last week. You know?
Well,
Yeah.
I got a good follow up story on that Adam Sandler thing.
Oh,
What I
please.
did, I called this Happy Madison at Sony. This is years
Okay.
ago, and I said, "Is Adam there?" Of course, there's a lot of buffers, to
Right.
get to Adam. And the woman says, "Who's calling?" And I said, "Well, this is James Bailey. I have a book called Band Interrupted, and I Mel thinks, and I think that Adam would be great for the movie version. So anyway, she hangs up. About 15 minutes later, I get a call. It's Adam's assistant. So I moved up the chain,
Right.
and I could hear
Yeah.
Adam in the background. What about Mel Brooks? I love Mel because the Jewish, all Jewish. You know that. You're
Yeah.
Jewish.
We're great writer. We're great. Yeah. We're great with the
Yeah.
comedy.
So anyway, I told that basically him and her the same story. And about a half hour later, I got a call from Mel, and that's when he said, "What the frick are you doing?"
He's getting bombarded with.
But he got Adam Sandler to read the script. So yeah, Mel's Mel.
May I ask what happened? Why it didn't happen? Or
I don't know.
you don't know?
No, because a creative artist, the guy, his agent, who loved the story. A lot of
Really?
people loved it, but that's Hollywood. You never know.
Yeah.
He might have
Listen,
got.
they just dropped a big. There was supposed to be a Dracula project that a
Oh,
lot even the studio was excited about, but they ended up dropping. Like that happens sometimes, and it's just a real unfortunate,
well,
realistic.
that's business in Hollywood, my friend.
Yeah. No,
And
100%.
another good story. Now, me and Mel both thought Jim Carrey would be perfect for the role. Because he's funny. He's a little out there
He's
like
very he has his he's very loud. He's very animated.
I am. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
100, yeah, but I like that. I like
yeah,
the enthusiasm and
energy.
the energy.
So
The E
anyway, this
words.
true story. Mel's at a party with Carrie Elwes, like you said, you had some connection. Carrie
Oh yeah, I know Carrie for
had
11 years. Yeah.
a book party for that, and Mel was at the party.
Mhm.
And Jim Carrey is a friend of Carrie's as well. So this is the next day. I'm talking to Mel, and he says, "Oh wow, I was at this party, and guess who I talked to?" And he said it was Jim Carrey was at the party, and he was falling all over Mel. And of course, he meant that in a good way.
All right, of course.
Mel Brooks, hey man, wow. And he said he'd been drinking and he was having fun. I said, Mel, did you mention the freaking book and the movie where Jim Carrey, we're trying to, he's my man, our man. And Mel says, "Nah, he was drinking and he's having fun. I just think it didn't feel it was the right thing to do." I said,
Yeah.
"Mel, why didn't you invite me to the party?" He said, "That's why I didn't invite you to the party." So,
That's like that's like a tough love punch right
yeah,
in
well,
the
he's
gut,
right.
but
Yeah, I wouldn't invite me either. So,
God, if I had how many times I used that line, I wouldn't have asked me either. Yes, no, I've done
yeah,
that.
well, I'm being honest, unfortunately.
Well, can I tell you something? We are our own worst critics, sometimes for better and sometimes for worse. And it's yeah, yeah. Carrie's great. Have you met Carrie?
No,
Yeah,
I kept
you never
thinking
met
that,
Carrie?
it's just, I was hanging around Malibu, I would run into him.
Yeah,
But I ran into a guy and I thought it was Gary, and he looked like him. And I'm
there.
doing
I've
all
seen
my
people look like
spill,
him.
I'm doing my spill, and this guy comes up to this so-called Jim. He says, "Hey, Bob, how's the real estate business?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm making another fool of myself again."
Yeah, I told you also. Mel Brooks's nephew lives around here,
Yeah,
like
you
lives
was
by me.
telling me
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Todd Kaminsky, and like you said, that was
It's
Mel
Mel's real
Brooks's.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He changed it to Brooks when he went into
the movie business.
the movie business. Yeah, it's funny because when I met Daphne Zuniga, the Druish princess,
I
who
met her. She's great. I met her at the
yeah, she's a
Malibu Library.
sweetheart. Yeah,
Oh, she's a sweetheart.
a friend of mine is her neighbor. Sandra Taylor, another actress
Don't
from
I
a lot
don't
of
know.
movies. So basically, Daphne, I said something about Todd Kaminsky, and she's like, "Oh, Kaminsky, that rings a bell." And when I found out that Kaminsky was his original name, it makes sense that she knows the
Yeah,
name. But she's a sweetheart, and I actually have yeah, she's awesome. And
yes,
Mel, I
she
never
is.
met Mel. I met Mel's son, who's also really cool, and
Max,
he was also an author. He's
of
also an author.
course.
Wrote World War Z, which is
Huh?
number one bestseller.
Yeah.
But he did Zombie Survival Guide before that, and I believe he came out with a book after. I don't
Ooh,
remember, but you have to, yeah, like I mean, to have a thought, and it's interesting because Zombie Survival Guide is written as a very serious book,
yeah, I
but
know.
it's in the comedy section of the bookstore, which is very
Interesting.
unique because I guess because they didn't want to put zombie and realistic zombie stuff in anywhere that could seem like, oh, it's misleading, that somebody's going to think this is actually a zombie survival guide and somebody's going to go out and arm themselves and try to pretend
Yeah.
or and accidentally hurt somebody, like some kid or something.
Well, Mel
So
told me the movie version and the book are nothing.
oh
There's
yeah,
no
the book was a series of
totally different.
interviews
Yeah, right. I
before,
didn't see
during, and
that.
after the zombie apocalypse. The movie was just a straight up action film.
Yeah,
The
I
book
know.
was more of like a more like a documentary
Right.
and flashback style
Yeah.
story. But
But Mel said he made
that
a
was
lot of
very
money, so he
original.
didn't care.
Oh yeah. It was an instant bestseller. I remember I picked
Yeah.
it up right away. Yeah, I had him sign the book. But yeah, he's great. But Mel is somebody, and actually to Kaminsky, Todd invited me to his inauguration when he first became an assemblyman, and I had midterms, so I didn't go, which would have been, who knows, I didn't even thinking, oh, I might meet Mel. And actually Mel left a voicemail around my neighborhood to vote for his nephew twice. The first time my house didn't get it, but just last year, 6, 7, 8 months ago, we got a recording from Mel Brooks to vote for Todd Kaminsky. He did like the auto send out to certain
Right.
houses. So it's like I was that a rabbi? No, wait, that's Mel Brooks.
Well,
You know,
Danny Kaye's real name was Kaminsky as well. Remember Danny Kaye,
Danny
the old actor?
Why do I know that
He
name?
was just a comedian, actor, right? Really talented guy.
I'm so much better with faces sometimes.
But but his real name is Kaminsky. So there you
Yeah,
go. Danny.
oh, right, Cake, yeah, yeah. Were they related, or do you know offhand, or?
No, I just thought of this last night. I was watching a Danny Kaye movie, and I just looked him up out of curiosity. His real name is Kaminsky. I said, "Well, I'm going to ask Mel when I talk to him."
Yeah, wait, yeah, and you just spoke to Mel last week, so you didn't even ask me. No, I hear you.
I will. I'll probably talk to him on Friday. That's usually when I do.
You did can I ask you about the stand-up show you did with Andy Dick? Because that you seem like you were having like such a field day that like you guys
Yeah,
at that thing.
Mel said I stole the show. Of course, Mel's prejudiced.
Very biased.
Right. Oh, another good Mel story. So anyway, Larry Hankins at this comedians thing or
Mhm.
roast in Beverly Hills, and Larry's connected too. He's been lost. So
Yeah.
he knows me and Mel are tight. So Larry walks up to Mel and he starts talking, and he said Mel shunned him, wasn't friendly at all, and walked away. So anyway, I said, well, it doesn't sound like Mel. So I called Mel the next day. He said, what the heck, Mel? You're rude to a friend of mine? He said, well, I don't even remember. He said, I had so many guys coming up trying to plug something, movie or whatever.
So it was like reaction. It was just force
Yeah,
of
he didn't
habit
even
at the
remember.
moment. Yeah.
So anyway, Larry was mad. He said, I don't like Mel anymore, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, a year goes by, and there's some comedian, I think he was on the Bob Newhart show. Some comedian died, and all these comedians like Mel
At the
and
funeral, it brought people
yeah,
together.
went to the funeral. And Larry's at the funeral. He sees Mel again. He says, hey, Mel, I'm a friend of Jim Bailey's. He goes, oh, I love that guy. So Larry's happy now. He likes
Larry's, yeah. It was redemption.
yeah, yeah. He's a nice man. I mean,
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. He's, I remember he had that documentary that came on Ode to the Oi to the World.
yeah,
Oi to the World. But his serious stories were also very powerful. But
talented man.
very talented man and a legend. What's it
And he
called?
has a big blurb on the back of my book. Did you see that?
Well, I didn't. I need to get the book. Which
You
one?
better
The
get
new?
the book, man.
Yeah, which one?
See, if you would have
The
got
new
the
one.
book, I would have sent you some pictures
Can I
of
tell you
Mel.
something? With
That's how I
Passover,
work.
I've been so overwhelmed with Passover and everything. Like it's still the
So you're
holiday.
going to order it tonight when you get off here, right? On Amazon.
I got you covered. Don't worry.
All right.
No, no.
I'll
I mean,
know because I follow Amazon.
no, I'm not tonight because
$10. Come on now.
I got you. Don't worry. No, I listen.
All
I
right.
want to. It's not just because you're saying it. I actually want to read it, and this is the new one you're talking about. This is
The
the very
diary,
new
yeah.
diary. Yeah.
That's the one that trying to make it. Actually, Simon Schuster said I should get it to Netflix, because it's funny, me go on these
Netflix.
encounters.
Can I tell you, Netflix or HBO Max? Both of those are big deals. Like,
Well,
and
yeah, right. I don't really know anybody in Netflix, but that was nice of her to say that,
but
she
also Netflix is difficult to get on. So if you get on that, that's just getting on Netflix is a big deal because just simply because of how difficult it can be. I just want to say, like, yeah.
Well,
Um,
another good thing, I met this is all in the book.
mhm.
Of course, I'm plugging my book nonstop. I can't stop. I'm obsessed.
Your OCD, it's your CDO. It's your OCD in that
Well,
order.
whatever word you want to use, I'm obsessed with selling that
My
freaking book.
friends have COD. They play Call of Duty all the time.
Okay. So I see this guy reading a book. Of course, forget about it. I'm there. Hey, dude, what are you reading? You should be reading my book, blah, blah, blah. So this guy, real good looking guy, is about 18, 19. This is at the Grove, and really smart guy. And he says he's an actor, and he's had some small roles, but he's really starting out.
Right.
So anyway, nice guy, bought 2 of my books. I autographed them. And we exchanged connections. Anyway, a couple years go by, and I'm hadn't heard from him, and he was on Facebook, but he was gone. So I thought, who knows? So I'm watching a movie, and I have a commercial, and Charlie Gillespie is the star of a show on Netflix called Julie and the Phantoms. So you never know, right? So now he's just did the new Breakfast Club movie. He's the star of that. Charlie is.
Really? They're doing
Yeah.
it.
So he said, Jim, you can use me, as an attachment to trying to get the movie made.
Wow.
I'm
No.
using his name
Wow.
now. So my, all this constant movement, me plugging, I run into people like Charlie,
It's networking. It's in a form.
Yeah.
It's not just plugging. It's also a form of networking in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in Malibu and all those kind of places.
When I do meet you one day, I want to get you to autograph it. By the way,
Oh,
I have no choice. It's my OCD to get things autographed. Even if I don't plan to sell them, I get them autographed. Books usually I have them personalized, so I might ask you that when I see you one of these days.
well, you come
God willing.
on the phone. I never would have guessed you're the guy there.
Right.
You're a
Yeah.
nice looking guy, and you're very
I appreciate
confident.
that.
On the
I
phone,
appreciate that.
you think, this guy, who knows,
Can I tell you something? Sometimes we can't put a name with a face with a voice. Sometimes, and yeah, I'd watch TV shows, and let's say the person wears a mask most of the show, so you don't see their face, and you see their face, and you're like, I just don't feel the face with the voice. But somebody who knows that actor would place it with it, place the voice with the face. But I never really knew of that. Let's say that's a specific actor, and just like it blows. Then you hear it together, and then you get used to it. But
Ah,
like, sometimes when you hear things separately, you don't. It's hard to
Yeah, I got you.
consolidate the two into one. Identify as what to identify them as one. But also, listen, when I was young, I was held back in middle school, high school. I was a little behind with the reading and the writing. And when I went to college, I had a professor that really in who wrote the textbook, who really enhanced my reading and writing skills. And I've been writing a book on Tourette's for the last 10 years to help people with, like, not OCD, but my OCD is part of it. And I haven't, but I've spoken to Carrie about it. Carrie knows about it. Carrie Elwes. I've spoken to Jamie Lee Curtis, and this book is important to me. But before I could send it to an editor, I want to finish consolidating the second draft. But the first
Okay.
draft is done. But it's like I'm only on one. You're on three now, right? You've done three. Like I'm on one, but I'm so behind on editing. But it's important to me, and people keep asking me when it's going to be done, and I'd really, it's important. Nobody wants it done more than me, but it's editing. They say writing is rewriting. I've been told by friends who are
That's what
mentors.
Mel told me. Jim, rewrite, 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 rewrite. He says that over and over. So I said, okay,
And I've heard that, and ever
he's a
since,
genius. So there you go.
yeah, it's funny. The friend who told me that is also a mentor to me. He plays like the guy with the chainsaw in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Like he's a big villain with kills people, but in
Matthew
real life,
McConaughey? No.
no.
He's
He
in
but
one of those.
no, but he's no the guy with the chainsaw in the 2013 film Texas
Oh,
Chainsaw
okay.
3D, and he's one of the most sophisticated, smartest, well-read, well-spoken. He reads religiously. He's so intelligent, and he
So does
plays one of
Mel.
the most
Mel reads
psychotic.
religiously.
Right, and yeah, but I'm saying this guy plays like a villain
Yeah, I
in
know
like,
what you're talking
and
about.
but like that's great act. And also Mel Brooks he could play a real slapstick character, but he's a comedic genius.
Yeah,
He's
he's
a
very
walking,
intelligent.
yeah, and he's very well spoken, Mel, as well. He's just it would I would one day I hope to meet him. He
Well,
seems
you
like
stick with Jim here and get my books.
he seems like a real mensch. Like you seem like a real mensch too, and like what they say, menches stick together. Hopefully not benches, because
What does
that
that
could be.
mean anyway, Minch?
Mensch is a Yiddish for like a proper, well behaved, if not well. Like some people think it's well dressed, but they've actually. It's funny. So mensch is like well, properly behaved, well
Oh, okay.
presented, and what's it? Oh, well spoken, whatever it is. But and one of these guys. I don't know if you know the show Shark Tank, where they pitch the ideas.
Yeah,
There's
the
like
Art
there's like a
Wheeler. Yeah.
yeah. So there's like a Jew. You know him, or
No, I don't know.
oh.
No, I don't know him. I've never met him.
So there was a guy who had something called Mensch on a Bench. It was like a Jewish version of Elf on a Shelf. Like they have like
Okay.
so a Jewish one. And now the guy he came up with something and I just laugh at the name. It's Chana what was it? Chana the Hanukkah hero or something. It was like Chana the Hanukkah hero. So it's like a play on, so it was like the Elf on a Shelf, Mensch on a Bench, Chana the Hanukkah hero. It's just
Ah,
like but you have to be creative to think of these names. And Alfred Hitchcock did say puns are the most sophisticated form of literature, but not just puns, like just lines that require very creative, very in-depth, and intricate thinking and contemplation and organization and like structure, like to put together. It's like some of the stupidest puns you hear are written so sophisticatedly, like with such,
like History
like
of the World. Mel's
yes,
that was
yes, the lines, the
intelligent
one-liners in
line.
that. Oh, that every and even Young Frankenstein. Pardon
Oh,
me, sir. Is this the Transylvania station?
yeah.
Taffeta, darling. Yes, the dress. It's taffeta. Wrinkles very easily. Frau Brocha. Like it's just like the lines, like Frankenstein. It's pronounced Frankenstein.
Yeah.
It's
Great
these
movie.
lines, like every one after the other, are just comedic gold. And even now, like even at 90, he's still
95.
95, he's still creating. He's still thinking of new material.
I
And
know.
I'm still waiting for Spaceballs, The Search for More Money, because that would be
Well,
that
you know
would
what Mel told me?
what?
Mel was trying to do that.
Yeah, I
But
remember.
what's his name? No, what's his name? What's Rick Moranis
Yeah,
wouldn't come through.
really.
Yeah, so Mel said that held it up. So Maybe he
Could
wanted more
it?
money. I don't know
Could
what
he
the
do it? You think I think he could do it without Moranis. He just could have, like, it like, sort of like the new Star Wars, that he follows through with that and have a new villain. But,
I
like,
don't know. Mel was kind of he
Mel
thought that kind of
likes to stick to
yeah, and he you
the
notice
original
most of his
material.
movies had the same characters a lot of
Oh,
times.
yeah, and Anne
So
Bancroft and
on,
yeah,
Harvey Korman,
Madeline
Alan
Kahn.
Kahn, Gene Wa I mean,
Yeah,
Gene.
Gene Wilder, and,
So
Gregory Hines was I
yeah,
know
you
one
told me
guy.
that.
Yeah, I know a kid who were or 2 people, an actor and his mother, the one who played his mother wrote the film, Polly Draper from The Good Wife, who worked on one of Gregory Hines' last films about a movie about Tourette's and OCD, really. Like, this the obviously Tourette's usually people with Tourette's syndrome usually also have OCD as well. So it's like sometimes I don't know what's my Tourette's and what's my OCD. So that puts my OCD on steroids in general because my OCD affects my Tourette's and causes my Tourette's to be more extreme.
Well, I'm going to tell
Ugh.
you, if
Mhm.
you still haven't finished that book 5 years from now, I'm going to say you're full of it, man.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
I've
telling
there
you that right now.
I believe me, it's with between like when I finished school, which was the
No,
year
I don't
I
want to hear excuses, man.
No,
I'm
no,
a
no,
guy
I'm not. I'm
living
no,
in the
it's not. No,
car. And
I'm just
what,
explaining. I finished the first draft,
what?
right after I finished, right when I graduated college. So I jumped into working like immediately after. So
Okay.
I edited for about a year for a while after that, but I fell behind. But I've devoted more time now. So
Again,
yeah.
you're not to have it in 5 years. I don't want to hear about it
I
anymore.
gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah.
So I got to make sure I'm done with it within the next 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, you're just one of those bullshitters you meet on the street, you know?
Well, emphasis on the
I'm trying
shit
to
because
motivate you,
Tourette's.
my friend.
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
listen. A procrastinator's work is never done,
Yeah. There you
or
go.
just
That's
done later than usual. Yeah, I'm a.
another good story for this is called the White Kimono Kid in my book. Okay, so I'm walking around Santa Monica. I see a guy with a white kimono, a homeless guy, and the white kimono is so clean. My mind works like I got to know how that's so clean for a homeless guy, right?
Right.
And he's got it handcuffed to a briefcase. He's got a briefcase with a handcuffs to the briefcase. So he's got a lot going on. Of course, this is LA. You think, oh, you know, maybe it's not that unusual. I don't know. So anyway, I kept running into him, and I finally said, "Hey, dude," I said, "I have to know things. Could you tell me what why your kimono is so clean?" And he says, "None of your business." I said, "Okay." All right. How about part two? I said, "What's in that briefcase?" He said, "None of your business." So I thought, wait a minute. I know street people, how they think. I finally said, "Hey, dude, how about I buy you a hamburger and French fries? Then will you tell me?" He goes, "Jim," because I told him my name. "I want a big drink to go with."
You bribed them. It's entrapment.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we sit down in Jack in the Box, which is another story in my. Anyway, we're sitting there, and he's opening up the briefcase real slow, and I'm thinking he might have a gun in there. I mean, the guy's obviously,
Sketchy.
he's off.
Yeah.
I'm off too, so I can say things like that. I'm not gonna, so you
Two
know,
off people sing together makes an on person.
yeah.
It's like
So I'm not. If you
simple
make
math.
fun of somebody, if you're just like them, so that's my
Right.
thinking.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said, "Okay, dude, what? Take your time. No, don't." I'm getting nervous now because I thought maybe he had a gun in it or maybe a bomb. You never know what the guy's got in it. So he finally opens it up. There's 3 pieces of paper in there, and I go, "What's that all about?" And he goes, "Oh, it's a record contract." I go, "Yeah, in case I meet her, dear sir, I've got the contract."
It's hilarious.
So I said, "Well, let me hear you sing." And it was terrible, which and I said, "Listen, you need to go practice, go down 3rd Street by the pier and,
Oh, you were straight with him. You were straight with
well, I
him.
was trying to be nice to him as well. I mean,
Right.
he goes, "Oh, Jim, I'm way too good to go play down there." So there you go. But he likes me. Whenever I walk by, I hear somebody go, "Hey, Jimmy, hey, Jimmy." It's
What was
him.
I just didn't want to forget Mel what was on Mel's Facebook page. Sorry, Twitter page. he brought up which but this was Almost Texas.
My second book.
Yeah, your second book.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. My obsessive compulsive friend James Bailey has a new book out. I bought 12 copies and I intend to read them all. That sounds like something Mel Brooks would say.
Yeah, it's got that OCD kind of thing.
Yeah.
You like the
That's
covers? The
great.
highway.
And it's an even number and we OCD people are big on even numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But see, that's a highway. You
Oh,
like that
interesting.
cover?
I didn't. Oh, we're going right into the brain because the oh wow, I didn't even catch that.
That's a highway because all it's a road
The endless
highway, infinite
yeah.
highway.
Yeah, well that is the brain. Infinite possibilities and like it's
So
like
it's
the
about a
most
guy
powerful computer.
hitchhiking to Roswell, New Mexico, and he's so good looking, everybody picks him up because most hitchhikers look like they just climbed out of a sewer or something.
So I'm gonna have to but I'm gonna have to read it because like if everybody picked
Well,
him
read
up,
my
like I
last one
feel
first.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
because like if one person picks him up, then nobody else has to pick him up because he's so good looking. They're probably gonna want to keep him in his car for the whole ride.
Well, he meets the serial killer, he meets the stripper, he meets, you
Oh,
know,
that makes for a very intriguing.
yeah, it's my kind of humor, you know.
It's like a rabbi, a priest, and a stripper and a serial killer walk into a
Yeah, but
bar.
they're all misfits, but it's funny, and all believe in
The highway of misfit mascots.
well, they're all headed to Roswell, New Mexico for the 50th anniversary of the so-called alien crash. They really had a 50th anniversary there.
Really?
Of course, to
Wait,
get
wait, it
people
was
money.
was it by the orchestrated by the government or
The city of Roswell, get money, tourists or whatever.
no? Yeah, tourism is a
1993, I
big
believe it was. But
real
these
was right.
characters believe the reason these characters don't fit in, they're from another planet or something. That's why they're going to Roswell. So,
Oh, I don't know. So no more spoilers, because
yeah, I thought that would be a good movie as well. Actually, you remember The Wolf of
I
Wall
like.
Street? Remember
Yes,
that
I have
movie?
a few friends who are in that. Yeah,
Well, I know the producer, one of the
really.
producers, and he said send me Almost Texas, which I did. And he loved the book, but he said, Jim, the main character, the good looking guy, didn't really have an epiphany, like, oh, this is my purpose in life. And I said, well, that really wasn't shooting for that, and I thought I did a little minor, but whatever.
All right.
So if he would have said, Jim, I'll give you 100 grand if you change it, I would have did something, probably.
Listen, we have about 2.5 more minutes, give or take. I want you to not just
Well, listen,
like
why don't we
your
go for the
books.
15 more minutes, make it an hour, right?
uh,
You got somebody else going.
no, I have to pick somebody up at the train station shortly.
Oh, well, you asked me originally, do you want to do an hour or you want to do 45 minutes?
No, but we're almost at an hour. So
Oh, I didn't know. See, time
yeah,
flies.
right. Time flies. No, but I want you to not just mention your books or the ones you want to, and also your any links people can follow you on. Yeah, and I'll write. So let me bring that up.
Yeah,
Diary of a Manic OCD
by James
bookseller,
Bailey.
one book at a time by James Bailey. Then we also have Man
There's Mel's
Interrupted.
big blurb on the back.
Oh,
There you go.
okay. Mel has Mel has a blurb on the. Oh, cool.
Isn't that cool?
And yeah, nice. That's a big deal. Just to have Mel Brooks in there, like cover or the back is just
Well, he's
you
in
know.
all my books. And he's a he likes
How
my
can can he breathe? Can he
humor.
breathe? Can he breathe in there? I'm just
Who?
kidding. You said he's in all your books.
All
I know
right.
it's really bad.
Wow, that was
I know.
really bad.
That was like I'll face palm myself by proxy.
So,
Um.
what does this show air? Your show, or is this?
Oh, this is live. This is on
Oh,
right now.
good, because most of it
Yeah.
I've been doing going around. Oh, let me give an email out in case
Yep.
if somebody's a producer or actor or really serious. Not any. I'll give you my email is my secondary email. So if you're a psychotic, you're not getting my
No
first.
stalkers. No
Yeah,
stalkers.
right.
No people like what you Mel thought you were at first, but you weren't. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
You didn't. Yeah.
actually, I got it real quick. I got an email from a guy in London on Hotmail. I never checked my Hotmail, and he's in prison, and he's reading my book at the prison library. So that's a captive audience, right?
Oh wow. I love that. That was great. That was a good one.
Well.
We're not limited
Anyway,
to an hour, but no, we're not limited to an hour. But I just wanted to try to keep it
no.
around that. But please tell us anything we can follow
Okay.
you on social
One,
media.
122. No, excuse me. James Jimmy 122 at Yahoo. If you read the book, I want to give me some feedback or whatever. I'll let you know how the movie is going. Actually, I'm not going to sell it to anybody unless I get to act in. Acting is my thing now.
Right. No, yeah, no, I admire that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people want to direct, some people want to act, some people, yeah. Yeah, I
So
hear
yeah,
that.
so that's why I'm writing now for the act. You know, I'm in that last lap in life. I want to go for the acting. Then
You want to pull the Alfred Hitchcock in there. You want to pull an Alfred Hitchcock and put yourself in your story.
well, Mel, you know Mel. Well,
Mel too.
Mel told me a lot of Hitchcock stories. He knew Hitchcock. They used to have
Really?
dinner together. Mel would tell me some of the crazy stories about their conversation.
Wow.
So
Are
Mel's
those in your book too? Because you got to write another book with those if you haven't.
no.
I know those are Mel stories. Those are Mel
Yeah,
stories.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I use Mel enough, but
You
not
don't
that.
want to do. No, I got you. I
Yeah,
got you. I respect that.
that's Mel's story, not James' story.
But do you have any social media or that
I'm on Facebook.
Facebook? Okay.
I don't even know what it is. It's James Bailey. If you want to Google, put James Bailey, author, Man Interrupted, Facebook. I think me actually there's a picture of me and Mel together, the studios together in that
Okay.
Facebook.
That's easy to spot.
Yeah,
So we got the Man Interrupt is your original, the first. Then there
right.
was Almost Texas,
Texas.
and the newest book is Diary of a Manic OCD Bookseller,
Yes,
One Book at a Time by
it's
James
at
Bailey.
Amazon. Go to Amazon.com and put that in there. And it's only about $10. And I try to make it as cheap as I could.
Of course, no, I respect that. You
And
want to make it
99 cents
affordable.
on Kindle in case you're busted, but I'm not a Kindle person because I like
Me
to have
neither.
in
Not
my
for
hand.
not for reading. Yeah, I like the physical
Me
book.
too. It's like an
I'm
art piece of art or
Yeah,
something.
I'm so old school. I listen to Guns N' Moses, so I like that
Well,
stuff. So, but let's be in touch. I'm gonna pick up your book or order it. You know what I mean?
I'll know if
Um,
you ordered it tonight because I'm going to check.
no, well, I
And
I'm
Mel
gonna
said you better get the book.
like buy his book or else he's
No,
gonna.
that's what Mel tells me.
Oh, he's telling you right now.
No.
Oh, he's
Well, if
you've
he
got you've
wants,
got.
I didn't know this was live. I would have told him to watch.
Oh no, you could send it to him. It's gonna be on
Okay.
YouTube. It'll be available on YouTube. So I'll email you the
Okay.
link, and you could send it to him.
Well, I
Feel
won't
free.
send it to you unless you get my book.
Fine. So okay, don't send it to him until I confirm with you that
All
I
right.
have ordered
I
the book
won't. I
and
know the way.
received the book, and then feel free. You'll hold me to it when I receive the book and I order that. I'll send you the order confirmation with as much
I
and
know. See,
but
you
not.
should appreciate that since you have some OCD. You can appreciate me
Oh, no,
doing it.
100%. I always love meeting people with that, that can understand and appreciate and embrace it like you do. You know what I mean? To whatever level we can. But I will also like able to laugh at it and make fun of, just make it a part of their life, not something to hide. You know what I mean?
Well, it's hard to hide when you're acting irrational.
Yeah, can I tell you something?
When you
But
open up the door with your feet, it's kind of hard to hide that.
can I tell you something? I do that. I do that
Oh,
sometimes. Like COVID after COVID, I became a little bit of a germaphobe. So I do that sometimes when certain people I know certain handle certain things, then
yeah.
handle or they have to handle some things and then touch another thing. So I get that
Oh, okay.
100%. So yeah, I have OCD of the mind and the physical stuff. So
Yeah.
I get you 100%, James. So
Well, I know,
I
but that's
respect
gone
you
from
high.
me now. Yeah,
What?
that's gone now
But
because
I
I
but no,
did
but
all that stuff. I
But
did
I
all that.
hold you in high regards. I respect you
Yeah.
a lot with everything you've
Took a
you've
lot
gone
of
through and
therapy.
created.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for being on. I
Yeah.
will be in touch. I will send you I will either send it via text or email. I'll send you that I got the book and
Okay.
okay, and we'll be in touch. And then you'll let
Yeah. If
me
I
then
get the
you'll
movie
confirm.
going, I'll get you in there.
Oh, I would be honored.
Yeah.
I can't act, but I can act up or act out. But
No, you got a good look to you. I'll throw you in
I
there. You can be the
I
guy on Skid
I
Row or
appreciate
something.
that. Or yeah. I like that. I like that. I'll take it. I'll take it. Anyway,
Wait a
have
minute.
a
You could be the hitchhiker. Put on about 100, 200 pounds.
well, I just got back from the gym about
Well, you're no
an
good.
hour before our show.
Oh,
But I
well.
just recently been hitting the gym, not the gym carry where I do my tongue push-ups. That's why I talk so fast.
Ah.
Or the gym beam. That's where my friends go to because the doctor found blood in my sugar stream. The doctor found blood in their alcohol stream. So I know that's pretty silly. Anyway,
Tell your friends to get my book.
I will. I will. I actually, I have a family friend who lent me her OCD book from a while back when I was struggling with it. But it's always good to not just make it about dealing with OCD, but make it something entertaining about OCD. Because
Yeah, well, mine
there
is,
aren't enough
you
books
can
like
tell by
yours.
my book.
Yeah, I'm saying there aren't enough books like what you wrote, and that's why I think it's something people need to read, because it's not just about OCD, it's stories.
Yeah.
It's not about dealing with OCD, but it is at the same time, but through stories as opposed to an structured
Right.
manual approach to
Also,
a
I'm trying to motivate people, to be selling. If I could make a bestseller just doing what I did, you could do
yeah.
anything you want, right?
No, I respect that. I respect that, and
So just
you
anybody out there,
yeah,
because
100%.
and if this is a good thing Mel likes about me. I'll walk up to say bunch of rich people in front of a private beach club in Malibu or Santa Monica, and I'll tell myself these people are rich, wealthy. They don't want to be bothered by some guy walking up to them plugging a book. And then I say, I challenge myself. Well,
You'd
screw
be
those,
surprised, yeah.
and I do it anyway. And then Mel says, "Man, you must have a thin skin, no, a thick skin." I said, "No, I don't. That's the beauty of it. I do it even when I'm sensitive, but I do it anyway. That's the key."
Your stories are unique because you're unique and you're different, and but I see that in a great way, because I different is probably the what makes somebody great. Being different is what makes you great. Not and like when you tell, like, you literally have so much motivation in yourself that you're just like, it's not just like a take no shit, attitude. It's a drive. Like that whole highway. It's almost symbolic of you. It's like an endless, you're like you have no, there's no end to your motivation, and you're driven.
Oh, I
So I
like
think
that.
about that
You're
with
good.
your highway. So yeah. So
Wow,
on that,
that's you
let's
could be a
yeah.
writer.
Yeah, so but I gotta
Okay,
go, and
buddy.
I know it's late for both of us,
I
really.
stay up to 4. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm lucky if I get to sleep before 2. But have a great night. Pleasure
Yeah, I
having you
really
on,
enjoyed
James.
the show.
Yeah, for sure, and we'll be in touch, okay, man?
Yeah, you're a cool guy.
Thank you, man. I
The
appreciate that.
Diary of a Manic OCD Bookseller.
I love your enthusiasm, man. Excuse me. But
Okay,
take care,
buddy.
and we'll be in touch.
All
Take
right,
care,
have a good
man.
night.
Have a great night, James.
All right,
All the best.
appreciate you.
Let me take care of this. Hold on. Have a good night, brother.